Hello, it's been a while since I've done a video, 1d8 plus 1, Leono Orbs, and in that type of sense today, I wanted to talk about, uh, let's see, block building type thing. Was on YouTube type thing and other websites type and trying to figure out what was block building type thing or to see the game as it was type thing beforehand, and I couldn't find anybody that was actually talking about block building. Block building is a fairly simple concept, and a planning tool type thing in that type of sense. It's not that complicated of an idea once you get into it type thing. The customization, it's no different from customizing a Team Beat Locker or something like that. So, or at least the will to want to type thing. The Mastering Magic cards type thing, George H. Baxter and Larry W. Smith, PhD, forward by Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering. So, with this type of thing, is a highly math oriented game, and in that, there's the statistics of it. That's what he was doing out of boredom type thing, and I think he did like his master's or PhD on this. And there's a probability of possible favorable outcomes divided by total outcomes, and this is like Nash's game equilibrium type stuff as far as percentages of favorable outcomes. So for this payoff, it's really not including both parties; it's including um, one person of Dr. Nash from A Beautiful Mind movie with Russell Crowe in it. That's what that guy's thing was. And so here they've got the deck, and they broke that down into what cards were in the deck and what they pulled type thing. And then they went into the colors type thing in the book. And then from there, um, this is a pretty great book. There's some probability percentages over each other in that type of sense. And that's cool. And from there type thing, let's see here. That's some deck construction type thing. A lot of you probably won't need that type thing in considering cards for creatures, enchantments, things like that. But, you know, overview is a good thing to do. In there type of thing, they get to these pockets type thing, and it just helps you organize your mind. It's not the fact that you don't know what magic cards are, but you're trying to organize the probability of what you're pulling in the direction that your deck is going in your head. Like in doing a binder type thing in that type of sense, or a notebook journal thing, or a calendar type thing in that type of sense. It's not like you didn't know where you were supposed to be, but you needed a reminder type thing to what you were doing type thing in that direction of your theme or goal or your planned activity. So this is what this is type thing. This is a deck constructor book, and it gives you a chance to put those things together in a sort of structure. So that's just like a calendar, and that's the calendar type thing there, and those are in blocks. See that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday type thing, and that's in August, and you put that together, and in that type of sense, you've got a block 1, 2, and 3 here type thing, and then it keeps doing those in that type of sense. Now for my math, some people in that type of sense, when they get together type thing, they can't sit down and put it in a radial pattern type thing. They won't follow it, and I'm not that way. So then they take that, and then they take that here, and then they radial pattern that way type thing, and they'll sit there, and then they'll mana balance and cost balance with costing 1 or 2 or 4 mana and things like that in their head in the center of that pattern type thing, and then they're quite good at it. And then they'll start stacking that type of thing here, and then they'll get mana here type thing in that type of sense. And wow, in video workout thing in that type of sense that actually worked. And so, and they'll do that type of thing, or in that type of thing there, they'll split that type of thing with this cost and this mana cost type thing there, and they'll see it that way type thing in that type of sense. And then they'll keep that balance across the first layer, then the second layer, and that third orbit type thing of cost or same creatures and things of that nature in that radial pattern sitting at the center. I don't Yanni keyboard that way all the time in that type of sense. So when I don't use the 3 block of the book type thing, but you can see the blocks type thing. It's got block 1, pocket 1, Curd 8, Curd 8, Curd 8, Curd 8. Block 2, pocket 1, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. And block 3, pocket 1, regrowth, Wheel of Fortune, mountain, and a mountain type thing for its like mana blocks. But I know people don't do the card game maybe as much type thing in that type of sense, but they definitely do the online one. And even though you're still doing this type of thing, it might be helpful to go to pen and paper, like a calendar type thing, or just regular paper. I myself like to use computer paper type thing, and I'll write on a blank paper and just start drawing things up that way. Because it's quicker for me type thing in that type of sense. And I like the freedom of the paper without the lines. And then from there, you'll get some sheet of paper type thing, and you'll go to your pen caddy type thing there. Oh yeah. And then from there type thing, I'll sit there, and then I'll go here, block 1, block 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 type thing. And I know I want 4 of them type thing in that type of sense across. So that's A, B, C, or in D. And then that'll be the first block type thing. And that's a 5 by 4 grid type thing in that type of sense. So that's 5 by 4 grid, which is equal to 20. And then you do another one type thing, and that'll be a 5 by 4 grid, and that's equal to 20. And then you do another one type thing in that type of sense. And from there, you will have another 5 by 4 grid, and that's equal to 20. Now, interesting enough type thing, this is based off of designators type thing in these categories of type. So in the first one type thing, then I might do creature type thing in that type of sense, or have 20 creatures, and then I'll have 20 removals or boosts type thing in that type of sense, like Disenchant or Glorious Anthem. And in that type of sense, then I'll have like 20 white plains type thing in that type of sense. And so in that means you've constructed a kind of an ideal that set out that deck type thing in that type of sense. And then you'll go through each section and see like what's its curve type thing of like mana type thing in that type of sense. If it's like skewed towards 2 mana cost, or if it's more skewed type thing to like 5 mana cost type thing, or 8 mana cost. And you really need in your boost type thing to have some mana producers so that you can maintain trying to bring in those expensive cards at that type of speed by the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round type thing in that type of sense. And without that type of thing, then you might be sitting in a very different paced game, and that might be 8 a round per mana type thing if you draw around a mana per round type thing in that type of sense, which are opening hand and after type thing in that type of sense. You'll need 5 or 8 mana, or basically to the 8th round before you can cast what you want to cast on your deck type thing in that type of sense. And if somebody's messing with you in counter spells or land destruction type thing in that type of sense, you could be looking at a plus or minus 4 to 5 rounds type thing in that type of sense. So say plus or minus 4 rounds, that's 12 rounds in that type of thing before you actually get your theory going type thing. And that's why people usually like 1 casting cost creatures or dark rituals and things like that, so they can cast that first round and get a fairly significant creature out there type thing, like a hippie spec, 2/2 flyer, it's in the air, and you gotta have flying creatures to block it, or somebody that can block flying, and they can, then they get through, and they get to do 2 damage, and then also take a card type thing in that type of sense, and give you a little like absent memory type thing in that type of sense. So from its fright and stuff like that, as it imposes its will on you type thing in that sense. Then like while you're saying like OMG type thing, then you can't remember to cast your spells, and you lose one of your spells or your spell book. And it does that every round type thing until you find a flyer or a lightning bolt or something. They're pesky. Just like the glooms in the Harry Potter type thing. I can't think of their name. I'm going to call them despaders. I hope that's right, but I don't think that is. And like you would never feel any joy again type thing. And that's essentially right. When you can't get your theory off the block type thing in that type of sense, it is hard to feel any joy being faced against it, because you never feel like anybody got what you planned type thing in that type of sense and wanted to experience as a back and forth type thing. And instead it was a one-way thought of their superiority. And that's not cool. So in that type of sense, we've got block definition type thing. And I use a 5 block type thing, as I said before. So I started out with some creatures type thing. And from here type thing, we've got some 1 casting cost creatures. And I'm probably going to have to pull these creatures up type thing. And let's see here. That's a Savannah Lion type thing for 1 casting cost. That's 2/1. And that's next casting cost is the White Knight type thing in that type of sense. and their first striking type thing and protection from black, and that's protection from black, Order of Leitbur. Now these are all over the system, but with the mechanics you get the idea of the costing, 2 casting costs for 2/2 white creatures type thing with some protection or a little bit of a special ability like first strike. And they're quick casting, they quick damage out there type thing, and get the party started type thing, and force people to attempt to block or to wonder like how worse is this going to get. You know, especially since they already put like, if you get like in the second or third round type thing, and you throw out a mana per round type thing, the first round you cast Savannah Lion. In the second round you cast tap 2 white mana type thing, and the Savannah Lion's still there, and the White Knight's there, and that's 2 power Savannah Lion and 2 power White Knight type thing. So that's significant. That's already 4 damage in the second round type thing in that sense, and 1's a first striker. And in that type of thing, you go to the Order of Leitbur type thing in that type of sense, and it's protection from black, and can be pumped, and it's also a first striker. And let's see here in that type of sense, then you have the Longbow Archers, which are 2 casting costs, and they're first striking, and they can block flying. And then from that, now I'm going to start considering bigger creatures type thing in that type of sense, and that of course brings in the Serra type thing. And she's a 4/4 flying, and she doesn't tap, and that's a special ability. Her not tapping type thing when she attacks and is committed to it, she's got circular parry, so she's not, her special ability is not to overcommit to anything. So with her virtue type thing in that type of sense, and her ability to stand fast type thing in that type of, she can do both attacking and come back and help with protection type thing at the same time. That's her special ability type thing. And she's also 4 power, and she's also 4 toughness, so she's 1 bigger than a lightning bolt type thing in that type of sense. And if other things go worse type thing in a battle sense, say like for instance somebody keeps throwing Crusades out of their boost deck, which gives +1/+1 to all white creatures type thing, then she becomes a 5/5, and then she becomes a 6/6 with the second casting of it type thing. And that's just not pleasant, and she's in the air as an angel type thing, laying out dominance on the whole field. Now, from there type thing, that's a 4 Serra Angel type thing. And then I threw in a Seraph type thing for fun type thing, and she's 4/4. And she's got special abilities type thing, flying, and at the end of the turn in which any creature is damaged by Seraph and put into the graveyard, put that creature directly into play under your control, as though it was just summoned. If you lose control of Seraph, or if Seraph leaves play, bury the creature. And then Silver Seraph, in the family of Seraphs type thing, but now silver. Threshold, other creatures you control get +2/+2, flying, and she's a 6/6. So that's lovely type thing. That's our creature section type thing. 20 creatures of white, most of it's 2 casting costs, and the rest of it's 4 or 5 casting costs. But once you get past the Longbow, the Order of Leitbur type thing, and the White Knights and Savannah Lions type thing, that's just not pleasant to think of. Now, for those who are still worried about the numbers game type thing, I went ahead and put in a Karibou in there type thing, and I also put in a Decree of Justice for put X44 white angel creature tokens with flying into play, or you can cycle and do soldiers type thing, but they won't have the special ability like the steadfast of the Serra Angel type thing, which with Serra's Blessing, I think you can make it that way. But in that type of sense, you can drum up a quick band of army with some mana type thing, and power up some backup angels for her type thing as token angels type thing in that type of sense, so that she can have her own posse. That's awesome. So, and then of course the Silver Seraph would come in and give them all threshold type thing, that +2/+2 ability. So along with that type thing, let's now move on to the boost.